Welcome to What Went
Wrong
with Age of Ultron. The Avengers, a household name by now. Yes, everyone knows about this Marvel Comics super team. They have become the A-team when it comes to superheroes on the big screen. Yes, the Justice League is more well-known and popular, but I don't see them having a movie. Just yet. The Avengers Age of Ultron was the sequel to the very successful gamble of a shared universe. The Avengers, the original Avengers, that's what I'm talking about. Both films cleared $1 billion. Both films are the top 10 earners at the worldwide box office. Yet critical reception to Age of Ultron was lukewarm at best. The Rotten Tomatoes percentage dropped by 20 for Age of Ultron compared to the first Avengers. Now, making $1 billion at the box office is in no way a loss or a bad day at the office. Age of Ultron did perform slightly below expectations at the box office. Reportedly, Disney has considered Age of Ultron a failure. We now live in a world where making $1.4 billion at the box office is considered a failure. Scary times, if you ask me. I don't know, when I first saw Age of Ultron, I walked out of it enjoying it more than the first one. But see, this video wouldn't even exist if I saw the film only once. Now, this is not a rant or exploration on Age of Ultron being a bad film. I think it's a fine film. Marvel Studios have perfected the recipe of the summer blockbuster, but there was a feeling of disappointment in Age of Ultron. In this video, I am just proposing a few points of interest as to why Age of Ultron wasn't as big as the original Avengers. Let's do this. Marvel Studios. Yes, the studio is to blame when it comes to this. I firmly believe that when Marvel hire a director, you're basically an equal of a mall cop, a rent-a-cop. In this case, a rent-a-director. Marvel Studios know what they want, which is good, but I think they know way too much about what they want. There's a reason they haven't secured a director for Black Panther yet, and that same reason could be why Edgar Wright departed Ant-Man. Now, I'm not saying directors like Jon Favreau, the Russos, Alan Taylor, and the mighty Joss Whedon are bad directors who don't care about the quality of their product, but there is a reason why Favreau and Whedon didn't return for part 3 of both Iron Man and the Avengers. Now, they didn't come out and say it outright, but all their answers in their interviews related to filming of Marvel projects hinted at problems with corporate pressure from the studios. Speaking of Joss Whedon, his writing, again, I don't think Joss Whedon is a bad director at all. I think he's the perfect person to be in charge of these films. He understands writing a team. He writes the team as its own character. This was the first time I didn't enjoy any of the Avengers. The first film had so many quotable lines said by the superhero team, but the difference between Age of Ultron and the Avengers was that the dialogue seemed tailor-made for every individual character in the original film. Not this time around. Everyone was a clone of Tony Stark this time around. Thor would say something like this.
You people are so petty and tiny.
Not this.
And as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say. Are you ready?
Not everyone in this world is a sarcastic prick. We need someone seemingly normal to have some definition between our characters. Hell, even Black Widow's a sarcastic douche. Hawkeye gets a big chunk of story time, but come on, it's Hawkeye. Everyone hates Hawkeye. Nowadays, every film with a budget of over $100 million features a monstrous amount of action, 30 minutes to an hour. The original Avengers came at a time when this was alright and not stale yet. The very next year, Man of Steel had an hour of kabooms and kablams. That's when the fatigue started to set in on me. The problem here isn't even the amount of action. It's the sci-fi element of this finale that bothers me. Are the Avengers only going to be fighting armies even in Infinity War? It's understandable why Loki needed an army. Not Ultron, however. Ultron, on countless occasions, has pushed the Avengers to the limit. On his own, might I add. Plus, if you're going to have that all-out war scene in a film, please, 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 Hollywood, make our heroes look like they've been in a war. I mean, look at this image from Ultron Unlimited. Also, almost Everything in Age of Ultron is like the first film, besides the addition of a few new characters. A threat emerges. The threat, of course, uses the Hulk as a way of disbanding the Avengers. The Hulk leaves, the team is seemingly broken up, but the Hulk comes back somehow. The team are now a team again, and they stop the threat. Eerily similar to the first one, and that leads me to my next and final point. This was a very uncontained film. Now, what do I mean by that? Uncontained. Now that Marvel has set the release schedule for half a decade in advance, it's obvious that they have to set up the next film in the present one. What films follow Age of Ultron? Thor 3, Black Panther, the next Hulk film hopefully, Captain America Civil War, and Avengers 3. I'm counting 5 films, people. Yikes. How many characters are in Age of Ultron? Oh yeah, the friggin' Avengers, those 2 new Avengers, the other Avengers, that Vision thingy, and oh yeah, a whole new villain! His name is in the title of the film. You think this guy, robot, whose name is in the film's title would get the bulk of the screen time? Nope. We have to set up our other films, give a subplot to each character, and then maybe, just maybe, we'll give the bad guy some screen time. Seriously, there was so much going on with this film that Ultron became an afterthought. That's something I legitimately had a problem with. Ultron is a fantastic villain with an Oedipus complex. Think about that. A robot with repressed feelings for his parent. He also has a superiority complex. A villain like this should have been introduced much earlier and built like they are doing with Thanos. There was such low weight placed on Ultron carrying a film. He's born and finished in the same film. More time was being put on future projects rather than the excellence of Ultron they possessed all along. That has to be the biggest point into why I believe Age of Ultron wasn't as successful or even loved as the original Avengers. They were focusing on the future rather than focusing on the now. I don't want to sound like a hippie, but Ultron should have been given more time and should have been treated with more respect rather than being born and finished in a same movie. And that's that, people. What did you think were the other reasons, if any, why Age of Ultron wasn't as successful as the original Avengers? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. Please hit that subscribe button, people, and remember to love yourselves. You have a wonderful day. Sayonara.